Came across something very disturbing the other day online. So somebody wrote that the permaculture, no-till folks are like the vegans of the gardening community, and it is just another gardening fad. And I find that incredibly odd and naive, because if you look behind me, you can see the trees are starting to shed their leaves. They're starting to practice their no-till permaculture at this time. And I've never seen nature show up with a tiller and go through here or put down any artificial fertilizers. It's been going on for about 1 billion years, so I think it works pretty good. Now there's still a lot of folks out there that aren't sold on the whole no-till permaculture thing. They want to keep tilling. That's fine. I used to till for years, and after changing to this method, I can tell you that if you do till your garden, you are starting a garden from scratch every year you grow. Since I'm lazy, I don't want to do that. One of the main purposes of this channel is to teach you how to grow like I do here in my permaculture system. And right now it is fall, and this is the best time to come out here and maintain your permaculture garden. And by following a lot of pages on Facebook about gardening, I can see a lot of people are starting their garden cleanup. Some people have even tilled under what's left of their crops. So hopefully I caught you early enough in this video that you have not done that yet, because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in my garden, and it does not involve tilling, and we're not pulling out any crops. Yes, the frost has come through, taking out a lot of the warm weather plants, like all these tomatoes, a lot of these peppers down here. But now we got all the chards and the kales are finally able to grow without fighting the bugs, and they'll be standing till we get some temperatures probably down into the -20 area. So my methods this time of year are pretty simple. I like to focus on building new areas of the garden. I've installed some new beds here with some free timber. I've put down more cardboard and a lot more wood chips. You can see over here where I made it to, and we still have a lot of work to do going that way. Seeing as all these tomato plants here are dead, we're not going to get any more fruits from them. They've been destroyed by the frost. It's time to get rid of these tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is a modified chop and drop. We're not actually going to be chopping these. We're going to gently fold all these plants to the ground. So here I can start by disassembling my tomato trellising system here. We're not going to need it. And look at that. Looks like a tornado went through here. So now all this material that is laying all over the place, we're going to take it, we're going to bring it into these planting areas. So in my garden, the walkways are wood chips. We walk on there. We never walk on the planting areas. These planting areas are just borders of free timber from the woods that I make the soil really nice in here, and this is where we plant. We never step on it because we don't want to compact the soil. So anything that's laying in the pathways, we're going to take that, we're going to push it in the beds. So all these tomatoes, I'm going to pull them over and just get them so they are coating these planting areas. Got some ground cherries that are laying in here. We're just going to push those over. Got some bell peppers laying in, just coax them over. And look what we got right here. Got one of the favorite eggplants that I grew. I'm going to take this. I'm going to save seeds from it so I don't have to buy seeds next year. You can see there's plenty of tomatoes on this pathway. Not too concerned about them. I'm at the point now where if I don't want to plant tomatoes, they're just going to grow on their own anyway. So we'll get some tomatoes growing in our garden path next year. Get these nasturtiums over here. Get back in there. Fold this tomato down, dead pepper plant, some ground cherries. Ooh, and take a look at this giant guy right here, an eggplant that I missed. Real big one. Good one to save seeds out of right there. Because I fold everything over, a lot of these plants in here are volunteer radishes. They've all gone to seed. I'm going to have a cover crop of radishes pretty much every year because of that fact. We have some greener ones right here growing in the path. I'm going to go ahead and take these. These are going to go to the chickens. If you've seen my previous videos, you know that the chickens are a very important part of my garden. If you don't have chickens, you can take these and just lay them down right next to all your other plants. Or you can use them to make compost. Radishes grow pretty big if you don't harvest them. They'll get about 4 feet tall. For the first time in a while, I can finally see my garden paths. Very simple, everything just folded down, laying on these planting areas. My last step here is to go through here now, and any visible perennial weeds I see, just grab those and yank them out. Can go ahead, pull these. If they got seeds on them, I can just throw them on my wood chip path because I'm not worried about them growing there because we'll be trampling on them. Or I could just throw them inside here. Here I have a thistle. I'll take the thistle, just leave that on top, chop and drop. Let's go ahead, some of this thicker stuff, I'm just going to lightly tamp it down with my foot, not putting any pressure on the soil. Just getting this close to the soil. Because what's going to happen here is over the winter, as snow and rainfall hit this, it's going to start getting lower to the ground. It's going to coat the soil. It's going to provide protection for soil life. So even when it's cold out here, that soil life can still work on this, and it's going to break all this stuff down. Now, all of this is not going to be finished compost by springtime to plant into, but it is going to provide some additional compost here and really good mulch on the soil that we can peel away and plant into. And this gets low enough to the ground that I can come through here, add about an inch or two of compost over the top of it, and you'll never know that these plants are here. We left the root systems intact underground. Since the plant is dead, that is going to become food for worms and fungi. And while they work on those roots, they're going to be tilling the soil for us. Now, the only time that I will take plants away is if I need to plant something. Recently, I needed extra room for garlic, so this area here, I cleared the plants away, planted my garlic, and left some of the remaining scraps on the surface here. Let's take a look at this mess here. This is all volunteers. I did not plant any of this. I have tomatoes sprawled out everywhere on my garden path here, in nasturtiums. All this stuff, I'm just going to take it. I'm going to pile it right where it started. Look at that, that's going to be nice and thick in there. Look at all those green tomatoes. Let's go ahead and take those green tomatoes and throw them in there too. That's going to be worm food.
Yep. Hey, Pickle, get out of here.
And just look how nice it looks underneath here where all these plants were growing. Plants are really good at shading the soil. So if you don't want to mulch, just plant a bunch of plants and it does the same thing. But look at that, turn these wood chips into some nice soil. Look at that bonus beet. Oh, look at this nasty guy. We have the burdock growing in here. We know we're not going to defeat the burdock. We can try to rip it out. Ain't gonna happen. But for now, let's just take the leaves and throw them right on top there. That is free fertilizer. And there she is, the old compost in place.
Oh, a web got on my face.
Everything I just did, if I wasn't trying to film it, would have taken me all of maybe 15 minutes to do. I gotta do the whole garden like this. I figure I can probably do this whole garden in less than 1 hour. And that's really convenient because I've learned there's a lot more important things for me to do than tear out plants from my garden. For example, we do need to reclaim these garden paths, and just wood chips is probably not going to do it. So I got to come through here and put cardboard down on all these paths, or at least some of them. I've got new areas of garden that need cardboard and more wood chips. And these wood chips are not going to move themselves. And they're really hot. And last year taught me something really important. I cannot rely on compost I purchase to be good. It was absolutely terrible. So when I can spend less time cleaning up my garden for the winter, I can spend more time taking all these leaves I'm getting for free here and turning them into compost. Or even better, letting the chickens do it. Well, let's address one of the concerns with this. If you leave all this material on top of the soil, it's not going to fully break down. How are you going to sow seeds into it? That was my concern, and we found a way around it. So like I told you, this stuff is going to turn into a soupy mess and sink down to the surface. That's when you come back with your homemade compost and add an inch or two on top. You can sow into that. Those roots from those seeds are actually going to benefit by having organic matter below because they're going to have something to grab onto. So you're going to get stronger plants, and those roots will find their way through and all the way down to the original soil. Now let's take a look at this mess I got here. I have some sunchokes that are about probably 14 feet tall. Now typically, if I'm growing sunflowers, I just leave the sunflowers there because certain beneficial insects will stay inside the stalks over winter. As I'm talking about this, I'm looking at the ground right here, and look who I got. Got old Mr. Woolly Bear just hanging out there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Woolly Bear and move it into a different location. This looks like a good spot. So with the Sunchokes, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the samurai saw. I'm gonna cut them off right at the base. Look at all this free biomass. Now I could just chip all these sunchokes up and use them as brown matter in the compost, but I think I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna let the chickens work on them first. I can save some zinnia seeds, some basil seeds. In the coming weeks, I'll come through here and I'm going to protect my sensitive perennials like this banana tree. But after I come through and fold all these plants down, I'm pretty much done with that aspect until springtime. All my focus is going to be adding more wood chips in here to my paths and to the orchard areas. Now, if it weren't for the fact that I want to try growing new things, I think I can grow a garden for $0 next year. I'm not buying compost. I have a bunch of seeds saved. To use this method, you don't have to fertilize. And my favorite part of this is no watering. I never water my garden. You don't have to add soil amendments. When you do this method here, when you're just laying stuff down, you're giving nature everything it needs to amend the soil itself. Healthy plants need healthy soil, and healthy soil also helps the pest problem. Undisturbed, natural soil. Imagine that. I'll be back with updates as we come through here and reclaim this overgrown permaculture mess. Until then, don't tear them plants out, just lay them down. Thanks for watching.